Ann Coulter, the best-selling author. If you're one of the few people on earth who haven't read her book, In Trump We Trust, you should get it, read it. Also get her column, and you go to AnnCoulter.com or follow her on Twitter, Facebook, Ann Coulter at Twitter. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Great. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. What do you think of all these tax cuts?
Well, you know I'm not enthusiastic about them.
Oh.
Well, I'm still waiting for the wall. If we had known that the entire first year of the Trump presidency would not get us an immigration moratorium or even the beginning, breaking ground on a wall, but would go back to the Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell agenda of tax cuts, he might not have narrowly beaten Hillary Clinton and all those Midwest industrial states that carried the election. And by the way, I love tax cuts. Tax cuts are great, but that should come later. That comes after the wall, after the ending of anchor babies, after the ending of sanctuary cities. This is the old. I'm talking about this strategically, not and for the country. We need more Americans working, and immigration makes fixing immigration makes everything easier. It makes welfare easier. It makes entitlements easier. It makes joblessness easier. You fix things across the board. That's why Trump won. But he got to Washington, froze up, forgot his promises, and just went to the Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan agenda, which admittedly is better than, the Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi agenda, but that's all we're going to have from now until kingdom come if he doesn't get back to his original promises.
He'll get to the wall. They got the 10 prototypes already built.
Mark, it's Christmas. I can't even say Christmas is coming, as is the wall. It's Christmas, and he hasn't started the wall. He's just trying to fake us out.
You will have your wall by next Christmas.
Why didn't I have it by this Christmas?
The guy...
He's going to be impeached by next Christmas if he doesn't get the wall going, because it's going to be a wipeout in the 2018 midterm elections if all Republicans have to show for themselves. I mean, this is Bush, too. This is what Bush did. Lots of wars. Nobody even knows how many wars we're in, how many troops there are abroad. We're accomplishing absolutely nothing except killing off some of the best Americans. So we got lots of wars and we got tax cuts. That was Bush. That was Bush.
Well, but we have...
vote for Bush. We rejected Bush. We have now embraced this all-new Trumpian republicanism. Instead of the loser Republican ideas from the past, we're going to have the wildly popular new Trumpian ideas. Say you're friends with Trump, and it's Christmas time. You need to give him a Christmas gift. Would you give him a copy of In Trump We Trust?
He's read In Trump We Trust.
Remind him how great he was. He needs to read it again.
He used to hold it up in the rallies and tell people to buy it.
Thank you. I know that.
What are you, Rosie O'Donnell? All of a sudden,
fight with you on the carried interest deduction. What is with these Republicans? You're absolutely right. I saw one of your tweets. I responded to one, and another one said this carried interest deduction, which is a total loophole. Gift to hedge fund managers. That, of course, was promoted by Chuck Schumer. Of course it was. It's protected by Chuck Schumer. Why? Because Wall Street gives 90% of its money to the Democrats. Why are Republicans saving it? Everybody hates Wall Street. You want to do something popular, Republicans? I don't care how much money it brings in. It's not fair.
Well, yeah, but this carried interest loophole is something beloved by Democrats, by President Obama.
Right.
So as a tribute to them, they left it there. Nobody fought harder to keep it there than Barack Obama for 8 years. Chuck Schumer never mentioned it until yesterday.
Okay, but do these Republicans understand they have to stand for election, and it's really good to let the American people know that what you're saying right now is true? Make the Democrats fight for it. Make them do it publicly.
It's for hedge fund managers. That's seven people in America. Who cares?
It's not 7 people. It's a few hundred, and I'm sick of hearing that pompous, blowhard Warren Buffett talk about how, I want my taxes raised. I want my taxes raised, knowing full well the Democrats and apparently some Republicans, since not one Democrat voted for this tax cut bill, President Trump ran on ending the hedge fund managers' carried interest loophole, and he was the only candidate who would have, because Republicans, again, idiotically, they're hoping they can get Wall Street to like them. Wall Street already likes the Democrats. Wall Street is probably the least popular entity in America. I bet trial lawyers are poll higher than Wall Street.
Yeah. Have you watched these interviews like Wolf Blitzer where they go after Bob Corker and others and they say, you benefit personally from this tax bill? Do they know that these congressmen have passed 1 million laws that benefit them personally? Do you know they even exempted themselves from insider trading? They're exempt from like 900 laws. Nobody's ever grilled them about that.
No, you're right. You're right. That Peter Schweitzer book, exposing them all for their insider trading, knowing about laws that were about to be passed, and then quickly investing in the pharmaceutical industry or whatever, or selling stock, whatever it was. I mean, that is quite devastating. And you're right. I never saw that being made a big deal of. I do think it's very silly for liberals to keep saying that some rich people are going to benefit from the tax cut. Well, yeah, rich people are the only ones who pay taxes. Half the country doesn't pay taxes. But that goes back to my argument of why this is a dumb bill to start with. It would be one thing if they're passing a bill a week, but if you have to throw your entire legislative effort behind one bill, when 50% of Americans only pay an income tax, and some percentage of them are paying, $100, $800, $1,000. So the maximum possible popularity for a tax cut bill, maximum possible, is going to be 40%. Yeah. Why are you wasting your political capital on this? I promise you, a bill to end anchor babies would be 80% popular. Go back to that Donald Trump, the 70-point plan on immigration. He put it out a couple of months ago. Actually, I think he was busy tweeting, and Stephen Miller slipped into his office and wrote it up because it's magnificent. One of the provisions is stop paying welfare to illegal alien gang members.
Yeah.
How popular do you think that would be? Can we start with some of these common sense bills that are 80% popular? No, let's go for one that maximum possible popularity is 40%.
We'll get to the other stuff. Hey, what do Republicans do in these midterms? Who do they vote for? You don't want to vote for Democrats, but you also don't want to vote. You don't want to vote for Paul Ryan or these Corker-type swamp alligators. What do you do? Well, unfortunately, what I'm worried about, and it's a real possibility unless things change in a major way, is they stay home. That's what millions of Americans have been doing for the last 30 years until Donald Trump came along. He finally gave them something in the menu of options. You're never allowed to go a la carte. Finally, there's something they wanted to order, but they're not getting it. So yeah, I'm worried about it. The way I think the midterm elections should intelligently be approached. We don't want to do another Tea Party thing where we're just trading mediocre Republicans for absolutely dastardly Democrats. But I think Republicans should be challenged if they're bad on immigration. That is the litmus test. That tells you everything you need to know about a Republican. It tells you his IQ. It tells you his principles. It tells you if he cares about the American people. That is the perfect litmus test, besides the fact that it's something we actually need to do. Yeah. Now, Ann Coulter's new column comes out tomorrow. Can you give us a little hint? What is it about? I suspect it will be about the most important issue facing the nation, immigration, because I'm very busy trimming my Christmas tree. Oh, those I can write in my sleep. There you go. And it comes out tomorrow. It'll be boffo. But just go to AnnCoulter.com. You can always get it first there. And follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and Facebook. Oh, and Instagram. You're now on Instagram. Yes, I think I've only sent out one photo. I gotta get on that. You're a good Instagrammer. I'll follow your lead. And one thing, and there are many things to love about Trump. He's just got to build the wall and do the immigration stuff. Let's celebrate right now by saying Merry Christmas, Mark Simone. Merry Christmas, Ann Coulter, and thanks for being with us. Good to talk to you. And get her book, In Trump We Trust, and go to AnnCoulter.com. Ann Coulter joins me now, syndicated columnist and the best-selling author most recently of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. And I guess it wouldn't be overstating it to say that you've been a little disappointed in the candidate that you backed a year ago. Yes, it's almost Christmas and we don't have a wall yet. No, but we're doing a whole lot better on border enforcement, and maybe we start to make the point, maybe that undercuts the point about the wall, but I'd stick to that. I still want the president to do it, but I'm glad to see that we got the tax cuts because I think it's going to make the economy flow. Yeah, I think it's like
sprucing up the paint job on the Titanic after it's hit the iceberg. It's really not going to save America. We're at the tipping point now. I just saw that moron Republican Cory Gardner being interviewed on Fox News, and he and Dane are just so excited about the tax cuts, and the Democrats are going to run against tax cuts. What, do they want to raise taxes? They remember Walter Mondale, and I'm screaming at that TV. That was 30 years ago. That was before you dumped millions upon millions of third worlders on the country who do not care about tax cuts. The very next thing they start talking about is how the Republicans have to pass the DACA, the Dreamer Act. So great, make it absolutely impossible for tax cuts to ever be popular in America again. Immigration solves everything. Immigration is the iceberg. Our country is the Titanic. This is why Trump won. This ridiculous, tacky reality TV star. How about doing something popular, Republicans? Do what? Didn't everyone watch the 2016 campaign? Nobody thought this guy was going anyplace. How did he do it? How did he win the presidency? On the issue of immigration, and they haven't done one thing on it. And in fact, they seem to want to do the exact opposite and just be Bush too. Yep, let's push amnesty because we're Republicans and we want to wreck the country too.
Well, I want to be more optimistic than you are, Ann. You're a friend. I love having you on the show, but I'm frustrated by this too. But I guess I'm saying let's be patient and get to those things, because for a long time we were saying we have to get rid of Obamacare first, and I thought that was a good promise to start with. The wall would have been nice, but the promise on Obamacare. And now in the tax bill, we get rid of one of the most egregious parts of Obamacare, and really the part that's central to its existence. And you didn't hear a lot of hue and cry from the Democrats. They kind of just let that one float on by. And there was the threat, you have to fix DACA before you're going to get the tax cuts. That didn't fly either. So, maybe the caterpillar tractor that is Donald Trump just keeps plowing ahead, and it will eventually get to some of those things, just maybe not in the order or in the timing that we would like.
Well, he's going to get wiped out in the midterms if he hasn't made substantial progress on the wall. In addition to ending the individual mandate, one thing you're right, the Democrats didn't mention this at all, was apparently we will finally be drilling in ANWR.
Yeah.
So there are some great things. I'm delighted they got rid of the state and local tax deduction. It's going to start putting pressure on the high tax states. Their high earners aren't going to be able to deduct that anymore. And you may recall, why was Gray Davis recalled from office, the California governor? Of all the crazy things he was doing, of all the ridiculous pensions he was pushing through, and things that were actually destroying the state of California. No, it was a car tax he imposed. It was like a $30 car tax, and all these young people who weren't paying any taxes, they suddenly blew up and demanded that he be recalled from office. It was the first time in, I don't even remember, either ever or about 100 years, a governor was recalled in the state of California because of some very small car tax. So, maybe in places like my home state of Connecticut, the Democrats will come under pressure to cut taxes now that it can't be deducted federally. But again, we're not when we're pedal to the metal on creating a country where a Republican will never, ever be elected president again. These are all, it's like painting the Titanic. You get some short-term gains, but 20 years from now, you're still living in Mexico.
I'm going to tell you, Ann, I think the wall is going to happen. The prototypes have been built, and that some of this is just making these things, you got to get to the point where you can get enough votes behind it to vote it through. And at this point...
I would like them to hold those votes. I want to know which Republicans need to be primary. I would like to see the Democrats run on voting against the wall. If Republicans had 2 IQ points, they would know this is very, very popular. They should talk about nothing but immigration.
Well, how about Flake and McCain for starters?
Cities, ending anchor babies, building the wall. Make the Democrats vote on that. Make them vote on it over and over again. They will be so popular, they'll wonder, why haven't we been doing this for 20 years?
Because they didn't have the guts to do it, did they?
But didn't we all just watch this crazy reality star win the White House? What is it going to take for them to learn this is really you want to be popular, Republicans? start pushing the immigration stuff.
And to use maybe a strained metaphor, but remember years ago, you and I talked about how Hollywood made movie after movie after movie, that talked about people coming back from the Iraq War and how evil it was and this and that, and they lost their shirts on those movies. And then somebody made one pro-America, pro-patriotism movie, is either Hurt Locker or one of those, and then eventually American Sniper, and Hollywood can look at that and say, yeah, those movies did big box office, but we're going to go right back to making the anti-war movies because that's who we are. In some ways, the establishment Republicans remind me of the decision makers in Hollywood. They'll say, that worked out really well for Donald Trump, but no, we're not going to follow that model with all our other candidates.
No, I know, because we've done this. It didn't begin with Donald Trump. There was Eric Cantor losing his seat and this little-known economics professor getting elected.
Hey, Brad.
Oh, yeah, there was Proposition 187 in California. Every time Americans have been able to vote on immigration, every time they have said, please, less.
And in this case, we may get there. In fact, here's what I want to see. As the American economy really pops up, and we're headed toward 4% growth. We're already at 3.3 in the third quarter, likely 3.6 in the fourth quarter this year. We could easily be at the impossible, all the economists, not Krauthammer, but what's his name? The idiot at the New York Times.
Krugman.
Krugman said was impossible.
I got that right away.
I know, because
the idiot at the New York Times.
The idiot at the New York Times.
And that isn't an easy one.
No, and Thrush comes in a close second, and he just got suspended. But when you see it hit 4%, that's going to be one of the triggers that will start bringing the illegals trying to come back across the border, because that's what they'll respond to. And when that will put the pressure on to say, well, we're doing good border enforcement, but maybe we do actually need a physical barrier there. And I think that may give the president the authority he needs to go to the Republicans and say, vote for the damn wall that's already in the law.
I know I've said this before, but just in case any of your listeners have missed it, he doesn't need Congress. It would be fun if Congress were smart. They'd get Democrats on the record voting against the wall. He's the commander-in-chief. His job under the Constitution is to protect our borders. He's not going to get away with not building a wall by saying, oh, Congress didn't give me the funds. You're commander-in-chief. Build the wall.
And it's a pleasure to have you on. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Lars Larson.
Ann Coulter, syndicated columnist and the author most recently of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. You're listening to The Lars Larson Show.